Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan, and today we will discuss the new Masters of the Universe series and the future of the franchise. Imagine a child who has just been promised a trip to Disneyland, but then is taken to a rundown local theme park instead. That is honestly how we felt after watching the new series called Masters of the Universe Revelation. Honestly, it's a shame that they used the same name that we associated some of the finest animated shows with. The creators emasculated one of the most iconic heroes of all time. The lies and deceit used to promote the series is just plain disgusting. Of course, we will tell you all about the episodes from top to bottom, but let's start by saying that He-Man is utterly sidelined, and the story treats him no better than a dummy. Indeed, the first set of the animated series was created just to sell toys, but the storyline never felt lacking, which made it indecipherable for the audience in the best way possible. The fans had grown to love the characters, the mighty He-Man, the evil Skeletor, and many others. Later, when He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was relaunched back in 2002, it charmingly swayed the viewers. The show might not have enjoyed the same popularity as before, but it was still an amazing series with heaps of entertainment, and probably 100 times better than the new recent launch. Masters of the Universe Revelation is a mere disgrace, and that's us being polite. In this video, we will take you through the painful road as we explore the episodes in detail. We will also reveal the lies used to tell this story. So, let us all unite to condemn this story and all the efforts that went with it.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
What is the story of Kevin Smith's He-Man? If you haven't watched the series already, and you suspect that we might be exaggerating, the following segment will put your doubts to rest. Let us take you through the nightmarish installments to deliver 5 slow deaths, one at a time. Episode 1. The Power of GRAYSKULL. The series begins in an ominous tone as we see a muscular, towering figure covered in a rug, dragging 2 thugs from the Snake Mountain. From the looks of it, he seems to be He-Man, and when he reaches the gates of Castle GRAYSKULL, our suspicions are confirmed. On seeing the approaching He-Man with his prisoners, the sorceress of the castle opens the gates and welcomes them. It turns out that one of the prisoners was Skeletor disguised as a beast, but He-Man soon blasts him away. Skeletor! On the other hand, the royal palace seems to be in a celebratory mood, and fireworks going off everywhere. Cringer, Adam's pet tiger, is scared of the entire ordeal, and a comical ambiance prevails. Suddenly, we see Adam hugging Teela, and she proudly states that she is not going to be taken by surprise with a sudden hug. Jeez, all that aggression for a friendly hug. If Adam is inside the royal palace, who was posing as He-Man? Our fears are confirmed when Skeletor is back, and it is revealed that Faker was posing as He-Man to trick the sorceress. Skeletor reveals that he has understood that the castle was merely a shell, and the special powers were all locked away inside. He intended on tearing it down, stone by stone, to get his hands on those powers. I've come to tear GRAYSKULL down, stone by stone. This time, he has brought his entire army from the Snake Mountains to launch a final attack. The sorceress tries her best to contain the evil forces, but her defenses grow weaker by the minute. She sends out a telepathic message to He-Man. GRAYSKULL is under attack. The prince receives it in the middle of a ceremony where the king is honoring Teela with the man-at-arms status. The king is seemingly disappointed with Adam and wishes he was more capable like Teela. Thus, the emasculation begins. They all head to Castle GRAYSKULL to fight Skeletor and his forces, with Prince Adam as He-Man. Teela engages evil Lyn in a duel, and He-Man takes on Skeletor. An intense battle ensues, in the course of which Skeletor burns Mossman to the ground.
It smells like pine.
An infuriated He-Man stabs Skeletor with his sword, but in the process ends up opening the Hall of Wisdom. The magical orb that contains all the magic is cracked open by Skeletor, causing a deadly explosion. The magnitude of this explosion is such that all forms of reality were threatened, and even Eternia would be destroyed. To stop the mayhem, the sorceress slows down time, but she can only do so for a little while. He-Man must use the Sword of Power to contain the impact of the explosion, but withstanding such a blast would almost definitely kill him.
The Sword of Power could absorb the blast and save the universe, yes.
He chooses to sacrifice himself for the greater cause and splits his offering into 2 layers. The impact kills both him and Skeletor, and the onlookers are shocked at the outcome. Evil Lyn and the others disappear, and Teela learns about some hidden secrets. King Randor is informed of the death of Prince Adam, and Man-at-Arms tells him how Adam was He-Man all this time. Randor is enraged for being kept in the dark and banishes Man-at-Arms from the kingdom.
I strip you of your title and banish you from the palace forever!
He asks Teela to take up the responsibilities, but even she is disgusted by the betrayal of her trusted friend. She feels that a life of secrets and magic leads them nowhere, and abandons the kingdom voluntarily. We will never really understand what made her so mad, especially after being told that the secret was guarded carefully for a cause. She leaves the royal guard nevertheless, and decides to leave her old life behind.
Go!
Episode 2. The Poisoned Chalice. This episode focuses on Teela's life after leaving the services of the Royal Guard. She has a new partner named Andra, who is apparently a technological genius. In the opening sequence, we see them working together, whilst retrieving the Glove of Globula from Stinkor. Stinkor does try to stun them with intolerable bad odor, but Teela spins her weapon furiously and lands a hard strike that sends Stinkor flying. After this success, she boasts about how one doesn't need magic to succeed, and we see her showering praises on her accomplice, Andra. The next assignment is handed to them by a mysterious old lady. She tasks them with retrieving a goblet from Snake Mountain, and Andra is apprehensive about the mission. She has heard stories that speak about the horrors of Snake Mountain, but Teela is confident because of her past experience.
What? Are you insane?
No, I'm experienced.
Besides, the old lady offers a handsome reward if the mission is successful. The duo reach the Snake Mountain, and Teela is haunted by memories of the last time she was there alongside He-Man. However, she is surprised to see that a lot has changed around the place. Right from the entrance to the robotic guards, there seem to be technological supremacy everywhere. We learn that the Snake Mountain has been taken over by Triclops, who formed some kind of cult that forsook all forms of magic. They served Skeletor long enough to know that magic got them nowhere, and were now focusing on massive technological advancements.
Because magic is an empty promise, a false god!
They worshipped technology and crowned the Master Motherboard as their deity. A man and his child came to seek protection under this cult, and the man is fed some liquid that transforms him. It is said that his physical body will modify, and we see some abrupt and bizarre changes soon enough. Teela reveals herself, and engages the protectors of Snake Mountain, while Andra uses this distraction to look for the goblet. They succeed in their mission once again, even though the Triclops give a strong chase. The old lady is pleased by their efforts in retrieving the goblet. Nevertheless, she has another task set for them, and asks them to take the goblet to the sorceress in Castle GRAYSKULL.
Say you to completing the set with GRAYSKULL.
GRAYSKULL?
Teela is taken aback, but soon she discovers that the old lady is none other than Evil Lyn in disguise. To add to her surprise, she learns that Evil Lyn had been working with the sorceress to fulfill their common interests. The goblet that they had received was actually the disguised head of Skeletor's Havoc staff, and it contained the last embers of true magic. Eternia is now being drained of magic, and the sorceress transforms whatever little remained into Evil Lyn's staff. In the process, the sorceress is severely weakened herself, but it seems like the only way out. Now, Teela is asked to retrieve the 2 halves of the Sword of Power. She and Evil Lyn must work together to accomplish this difficult task. However, Teela is in no mind to relent. She still holds a grudge against the Man-at-Arms, Adam, and God only knows who else. The 2 halves of the Sword of Power are now back in the realms where they were forged, the Hall of Heroes in Terniya and the Land of the Dead, Subternia. Although Teela is adamant about having no part in this, Cringer, Adam's pet tiger, convinces her otherwise. It reminds her that she gave it the name Cringer and helped it overcome its fear.
You started calling me Cringer.
Cringer also explains that Teela was not actually angry, but scared that she wouldn't be able to live up to the expectations. It says that He-Man made the ultimate sacrifice because he believed that Teela would fill in his shoes, and all this sweet talk softens her resolve. She finally reconsiders and we expect to see them join hands for the mission. However, Evil Lyn states the necessity of man-at-arms in their team if they were ever to forge the sword. Episode 3. The Most Dangerous Man in Eternia. The title itself is hint enough to know that the man in question was none other than the good old Man-at-Arms. Not surprisingly, the episode begins with a brief glimpse of him, still protecting the weak. A man who dropped a cup of magic potion was being attacked by some men, and Man-at-Arms protected him. The sudden attack is led by the forces of Triclops. They approach with their technological enhanced forces and spread chaos. But as one of the inhabitants was about to get hurt, Man-at-Arms decides to stand up to them. He smashes a few fellows, and just when it starts to get a bit tough, Teela, Evil Lyn, and Andra arrive to help. The Triclops resort to their superior technology, and soon they are all tied up. Suddenly, there is another unexpected source of help. Beastman attacks the Triclops forces in great fury and smashes their gadgets and vehicles to the ground. Triclops himself is pinned down, and he regrets making an enemy out of Beastman. He is ordered to leave immediately with his forces, and Triclops obliges helplessly.
Leave these pathetic pilgrims to their magic water and be gone!
Now that Man-at-Arms meets Teela and the others, there is some emotional drama. For some reason, Teela's still quite grumpy, but she pleads with Master-at-Arms to join them in their quest.
We need you to reforge the Sword of Power.
Oh, is that all?
He refuses because a royal order bans him from taking part in such activity. They go inside to see Orko, but he is visibly sick. Man-at-Arms has been collecting the magic potion for him to drink, but the lack of magic is drawing the life out of Orko slowly. Even though Man-at-Arms refuses, Orko joins the group quite enthusiastically, although the others are skeptical. Even Man-at-Arms' creation, Roboto, wishes to tag along, stating that Man-at-Arms would have done the same thing in his younger days. Since Roboto has all the memories of Man-at-Arms, he also holds the knowledge of how to forge the sword. And in his absence, Roboto can manage just fine. Seeing that his entire family is up for the mission, Man-at-Arms decides to join them as well, but Teela asks him to protect the weak sorceress in their absence.
Save the sorceress, Dad.
The group heads to a portal connected to Subternia, and during their voyage across the ocean, they are attacked by Merman and his forces. Merman is furious about the death of Skeletor. Evil Lyn did not consider taking over Eternia alongside him, but he has a dispute to settle. They overwhelm the group with their swift assault, but Man-at-Arms saves them. He arrives out of the blue, and Merman is taken prisoner. In fact, they force him to help them on their journey in exchange for his life. Once they land in Subternia, Man-at-Arms warns them to be quick, because anything that spends too much time in the land of the dead does not survive.
Get in and get out of Subternia as fast as you can. Nothing lives long in the land of the dead.
The gate of Eternia is opened using the remaining powers of the head of the Havoc staff, and they journey downwards into the mysterious realm. Episode 4. Land of the Dead. The perils of the Land of the Dead start to show in this episode. In the opening sequence, we see Teela separated from the others abruptly. Orko and Evil Lyn find themselves at each other's mercy, and Beastman, Andra, and Roboto are in somewhere else. Teela encounters a mysterious obscure structure that surprisingly looks like Skeletor. Evil Lyn and Orko realize that they are in Trolla, the home of Orko. It is some kind of illusion, but it's surprisingly good. Beastman starts to freak out when Evil Lyn is missing from the group. Suddenly, they spot some shadowy beasts and attack them. Andra, Beastman, and Roboto fight them off, but they keep coming.
Sorry, excuse me.
Roboto reveals that the beasts are reacting to Andra's fear, and she admits that being scared during the fight is not helping her at all. On the other hand, the Skeletor-like entity promises to offer Teela the sword that they came looking for.
I will give you that which you seek, Teela.
However, there is a catch. Teela must reveal her deepest fears and face them to win the prize. If she fails, she would be trapped in the doomed world for eternity. She decides to brave the illusions thrown her way and agrees to the condition. Going back to Evil Lyn and Orko, they head towards a corridor and find the font of mystical energy all dried up. Orko realizes that he must be the last Trollin left and discloses his struggle with magic with Evil Lyn. His parents had named him Orko with the hope that he would accomplish great things in life.
My parents wanted to set me up for greatness, so when I was born, they gave me a name.
Unfortunately, he felt that he had turned out to be a disappointment, and Evil Lyn consoles a demotivated Orko. She also reveals that her real name is Lyn, and she herself added the evil part.
No, they didn't call me evil. I added that part later.
Suddenly, they are attacked by combined forces of the deceased spirits and the Trollans. They take a monstrous form, and Evil Lyn and Orko are forced to run. Meanwhile, Teela faces off against an illusion of He-Man. This He-Man speaks to her in the most condescending manner, demeaning and belittling her. They engage in a fight, and soon after, He-Man turns into Teela. It turns out that Teela fears her own fate the most, and thus, she must face herself in this contest. She uses her self-realizing powers to control all the forces that were threatening the group. She finds half the Sword of Power, and they are reunited once again. They start to wonder how to use half of the Sword of Power to help get the other half. Just then, Evil Lyn uses it to open a gate to Preternia. However, the shadowy monster continues to pursue them, and this is where Orko too makes the ultimate sacrifice. He holds himself off with his magic and buys the others time enough to escape. They land in Preternia, and there is a surprise waiting for them. They find Prince Adam there, who is equally surprised to see them all. It is baffling how the makers think that this is enough to fill the show with glimpses and illusion of He-Man, the true protagonist. Episode 5. The Forge at the Forest of Forever. The 5th episode turned out to be the most outrageous one. They literally make a mockery out of He-Man in this one. It starts off with Prince Adam in Preternia's Hall of Heroes paradisical place. He is placed there for his gallant work during his lifetime. Take a guess at how life for He-Man is in paradise. He is often bullied by his friends, and they call him Flea Man because of his small size. They all mourn the death of Orko and pray for his place in the paradise. The second half of the Sword of Power is finally retrieved, and Teela joins Adam as they take a walk through the mystical forests. She is still furious with him, although she cannot really explain why. Adam wants to meet King GRAYSKULL, because all Teela would tell him is that they aren't dead, and they must go back to the kingdom. Adam knows that there is a way to send them back, but it has to be known to King GRAYSKULL. But King GRAYSKULL and other friends of Adam's are on a hunt. Adam and Teela join them on a flying saucer. Even here, we see Adam struggling to maintain his balance, while Teela flies like a pro. Finally, Roboto uses his power to restore the Sword of Power, but it costs him his life. Right before his death, Roboto realizes that he has developed feelings, and he considers himself lucky to be blessed by this miracle. Adam has a brief discussion with Mossman, and the possibility of returning back to Eternia. Mossman and the others warn him that if he returns, there might be no other way to revisit Preternia again.
You might never be able to come back here.
He still chooses to accompany Teela, because the death of Orko and Roboto should not go in vain. Finally, they all return to the Hall of Wisdom. In the meantime, Master-at-Arms has been protecting Castle Grayskull from continuous attacks by the evil forces, but now they can all rest easy. Magic is slowly restored to Eternia, and Cringer and Master-at-Arms are delighted to have Adam back. But his stay is rather short-lived. Just as he is about to wield the sword and utter the magic words, Skeletor appears and stabs him in the back. Adam is fatally wounded and he falls to the ground as Teela stares in shock. We learn that he existed all along within Evil Lyn's staff, waiting for the right moment to come back.
I was forced to seek refuge in your worn staff to protect me.
He couldn't have picked a better time because now the sword is all his. Evil Lyn and Beastman reluctantly go back to his side, and he summons the power of Grayskull. The series ends with the powers unfolding, and technically, Skeletor was now the true master of the universe. I mean, seriously? The makers bring him back to have him killed all over again. And the way Adam was treated, even in Paradise, speaks volumes about the thought process of the creators. Honestly, the only thing good about this series would be the animation. There are some bits in Subternia and Preternia that look mesmerizing. Apart from that, we cannot point out even one positive thing about this mess.
By the power of Grayskull,
What will probably happen in Season 2, or even Part 2 of Season 1? As of now, a release date for the next part of the series, or the second season, has not been announced yet. It is believed that it'll be some time before we get to see Season 2. The maker of the show, or rather the destroyer, Kevin Smith, revealed in a Twitter post that the plot of the next season was ready to go. He's just waiting for Netflix to give him that green signal, and he would immediately put the scripts into production. So, what can we expect from the next part? Personally, we have stopped expecting anything at all from this disaster. But it is speculated that the Battle of Eternia will become bloodier and darker in the next season. The final episode ended with Skeletor wielding the Power Sword and arming himself with the secrets of Castle GRAYSKULL. He is now far more superior, and the likes of Evil Lyn and Beastman have rejoined him, although their hearts don't seem to be into it at all. Skeletor will probably try to conquer Eternia with his newfound might, and we can expect Evil Lyn or Beastman to betray him in this quest. The cult of the Triclops, who went on to worship technology, might also oppose Skeletor's evil sorcery. One of the biggest questions is regarding the fatal wounds of Prince Adam in the Season 1 finale. He was killed off in the first episode, and we wonder what will become of him now. After the treatment meted out of his character, we wouldn't be surprised if he came back as a dwarf in a miniskirt, who becomes Tila's sword bearer. It is clear that Tila would oppose Skeletor and evil forces with her might, and I guess we'll wait and see which of the scattered warriors join her to help her out.
You are nothing.
I am fear. Your fear.
Was bait and switch really necessary? For the love of God, can someone please tell us what it is about this modern trend of diluting classics and bringing down its excellence? We saw the same thing happen to Ghostbusters and thousands of others. And here we are, running the same circles. This one ought to be worse because the creator, Kevin Smith, did not actually have the guts to admit the changes he had planned to make in the storyline. A certain hacker had leaked the script of the show on the internet for all to see. Kevin Smith was outraged at the audacity and vehemently opposed the theories that had popped up. He denied authenticity of this newly circulating information, and went on an all-out offense to discredit those who were behind the leaks. He went on record to say that the show would not center on Tila, and there were no clear LGBT undertones to her character. And now, here we are. Don't get us wrong, we have nothing against a storyline with a female protagonist, or even one with an LGBT representation, but to rip off a classic and introduce gibberish in its place is simply unacceptable. What truly bothers us the most is the mess that he made out of the backstories of the characters. If you want to create a show about Tila and her girlfriends, you are more than welcome. However, misleading fans while making use of glamour and popularity of the He-Man franchise is downright distasteful. Our final words. In the end, we would simply like to request that you all take a stand against trashy remakes. The moment we start to pretend that this was okay, more of these filmmakers would take the storyline for granted. You simply don't take one of the favorite heroes of a generation and turn him into a loser. Let the power of Grayskull reside where it belongs. Anyway, we'll head to the bar now because this has been a severely traumatizing experience. So, for Marvelous Videos, this is Rylan, and I'll see you next time.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.